Got it.
Yeah, please.
So thank you very much, Yogesh, for having me with you on this um, particular edition of our webinar, Leadership CHASKA. We executive presence per se, and in my own good old career of around 20 years plus um, in learning and organization development, in various forms it has evolved. There was early times in ITES, people used to do this as a part of their preparedness to go on site. If you remember, and typically these sessions used to get hosted in Taj Banjara and some of those hotels in the hotel rooms, as well as um, in their dining areas. And I remember people struggling through their Caesar salads and trying to make sense of the olive with their knife and fork, right? So that was one version of executive presence when we kind of started out. And then over a period of time, it also meant that some of the um, leaders who were in India dropped that part of the thing and kind of concentrated slightly more on what was called as the gravitas, right? And how do you kind of still carry for yourself that weight, and you don't just be an order taker when you are in those meetings with your onshore counterparts. And now probably we are kind of in the third generation or the fourth of executive presence, where it is a lot about how do you make yourself resonate with people, how do you make yourself come along with people. And I've seen this across industries. Banking, where I have worked with Deutsche Bank, I have worked with Lehman Brothers. Executive presence was definitely a very important part. I still can't forget my first day of attending those interviews at Lehman. I was wondering if I was wearing an appropriate suit, or the guy who was asking me to sign on the register was wearing one. So and the entire um, Anjali Lamenan and a couple of Raghurais in original kind of had a very daunting impact on what you wanted to be and how you wanted to, kind of showcase. And as soon as I entered the room of the interviewer for the, I could see his range of ties as soon as he closed the door. So that was my. And then I saw everyone. I just peeped outside and I saw everyone had a coat hanger on which their their jackets were on the peg. So that was one time, and I've struggled with it, believe me. Mumbai in the month of June and May, not having a car, though staying in Hiranandani, but still taking an auto and wearing a jacket and a tie, and you couldn't facilitate a session without that, to the present times, right? So I feel that this is a topic which is of great relevance. This is a topic that also creates a lot of mystery, lots of different points of view. And I think at Crossover, we have done a little bit of research during the times of pandemic, etc. And along with our solutions in the area of hybridity and managing in a matrix and some of the senior level programs as well, we have found that this is a topic which is of relevance not just to the C-suite and the boardroom. This is a topic which is of relevance to a wider audience, right? And if you were to look at it in its innate, the competencies that it seeks to develop, that just cannot be developed once you are on the brink of stepping into those rooms, right? It has to be done much earlier. It has to be done much as a part of a, what I would call as an inside out approach than an outside in approach, right? Needless to say that, executive presence has also kind of got hoodwinked, if I may use that term with, inverted commas, with a lot of what we do in the area of image consulting, right? And people feel that executive presence is all about managing and manufacturing, if you may like, a certain image and present it to the world, which it is probably much more than that.
Very nice. Super. So Ravi has a good overview for people to get a glimpse of how the next 60 to 90 minutes will look like. So I'll and team, the format would be like this, that we really don't want to create this like a download of information to all of you. So we'll feel free to make it as interactive as possible. So in our case also, what I'll do is I'll have a conversation with Ravi and those who have attended our earlier webinar on emotional intelligence meets conversation intelligence. That format has worked very nicely. So I'll ask a set of questions to Ravi, and at some point I'll also bring in some of my experiences of executive presence. It will be more like conversation, but feel free to jump in anytime you have a question and anything that you have with your organization related to this particular topic. How do you guys see in your organization? Is there something you want to look at from a broader world perspective? That how do you benchmark your company with somebody else, or any thoughts that you may have in between? So it's not like you unmute only after 60 minutes. You can unmute anytime you like. Yeah, so you can talk to us in between. We'll try to make it as interactive as possible. So Ravi, I'll just pull up the slide, just a brief introduction of some of those things that we typically have at Crossover. So those who are new will get an idea. So if you look at the slide, and even the name of the company is Crossover Leadership Journeys, which is actually means that we usually don't do one-off programs. So we always do a longer program, which is 6 months, 12 months, 18 months, depending on how deep you want to build your people on. And so it's a journey, and the name of the company is Crossover Leadership Journeys, which is helping people cross over their leadership challenges in a journey format. And the tagline is building leaders at all levels. So we have got programs that can cater to the top CEO till the front line. So we have tied up with assessment companies, HR consultants, management consulting. So it pretty much LMS companies. So it is pretty much like a one place where everything can be done. And just two slides I want to quickly walk you through. The one is, if you look at this slide, there are two axes to this. One is the success level of an organization, and other is the journey of an organization. So every organization essentially hires people from all over the country or world, and obviously everybody comes with their own mental model. So a guy coming from Bombay, Hirnandani, is very different than somebody from Trivandrum. So there is definitely a hybrid culture that gets created, and you get a certain result in the organization. But if we were to do a crossover intervention, we look at the way people think, look at their immunities to change, and align the mental model that creates an aligned culture, and that gives you much more goal oriented results. So our thinking, and I keep discussing with Ravi many a times, that the cost of some of this training is so low compared to the loss that the companies are doing because they are not doing the intervention. Yeah, and it is so because a lot of people in the training world don't really bring the business context to that. And you will see Ravi when he speaks, and even now when he spoke, he kind of brought a combination of research and business together, and that's the been our endeavor all through the journey. And the way we align this mental model is in a very structured manner. So you can see this slide, which has, we call it as a crossover development framework. So you can see on the left hand side, you can divide any organization into broadly four parts. You've got the senior leadership, mid-level, associate, and campus hires. So for each of these levels, we have got programs, and then we look at four dimensions of leadership. So self-leadership, team leadership, operational, and organizational. So self-leadership is the leader's ability to manage his emotions, his communication. Team leadership is how does he delegate, how does he inspire. Operational is how does he look at numbers, because it's not important that you just manage your team, but you should have an appreciation for effectiveness, for operating margin, balance sheet, P&L. And then last is how do you collaborate, how do you contribute to the organization on change. And the way we do it is that every month there is a workshop, and then between the month the participant work with the mentor to apply that in real life, and then they come back to the next month for a next topic, and then they again work with the mentor. Then we invite the leaders to come and talk to the participant on their own experiences of the topic. So we prepare them for that, and then this journey continues, as I said, for 6 months, 12 months, and then we have coaching, we have assessments for the senior leadership. So that's how the overall model is that I would like to share. So now let's jump on to the main topic for today. But here is one more slide for all of you. There is a program called Emerging Leaders Program that we are launching, and this is the seventh batch. And this particular program is there only for clients who don't have a complete quorum inside the organization, or right now you're not very sure that do you want to engage crossover for the leadership. So this is your opportunity to send maybe 2 or 3 people and just experience what the whole journey can bring transformation in your organization. So if you feel like there is this number on the below here, you can take a screenshot of that, or you can write to Pooja Adhikari, pooja.a@crossoverleaders.com, and she can give you more details on what ELP can do for you. So we'll start with the today's topic, and I think Ravi, let's set the tone, by
Yeah.
possibly having the team answer these 2 questions. Yeah, Ravi. So
Yeah. So would you like to allow me to share the screen,
yes,
Yogesh,
yes,
once?
yes, I'll do that.
And
Yes,
what I will do is I will also, in the meanwhile, give the group the link, right?
yes, 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 yes.
So
So
you
most of you must be familiar with Mentimeter, and if not, this is a fantastic way to get a lot of people to give their input in a short time.
Mm, right.
So this is how we make our virtual sessions also,
So
as interactive. So you can see
yeah.
Ravi has sent the link to all of you. Yeah.
So I've shared the link with all of you. So
Yeah.
you can probably click on the link. You
Yeah.
don't have to go and do any. You don't have to put any code, etc. Right. Just let me
So
see.
you can answer this question. Why
What is the
is
first question? What do you think is executive presence?
yes, yes,
And then you have another question which comes up. So,
yes. The first question, what do you think is executive presence? And as I always keep telling me and Ravi that there is no wrong answer in the sense.
yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Hmm.
क्या बात है? Very nice.
Wonderful. Hmm.
So an ability to make people listen to you, okay?
Hmm. Hmm.
Ability to influence without any desperate efforts, okay?
Hmm.
Your personality also has value rather than only your work, okay?
Hmm.
Personality traits, okay? Executive personality traits, okay?
Hmm.
Ability to capture attention of leaders, okay?
Hmm.
Demonstrating clear and confidence leadership, okay?
Hmm.
Okay, Satya is saying in the chat that combination of personality and character trait. Okay, very nice, Satya. Thank you.
Hmm.
Satya is always an active participant. Influence positivity. Okay, capable of handling others and ensuring they listen to you.
To
Okay,
you.
one's ability to establish their presence in a positive and professional manner. Okay, very
Hmm.
nice. Super. Very nice. Very good inputs. Yeah. Ability to transform potential into capability. Okay. Some very intense definitions are coming, Ravi.
Hmm.
Ability to drive your point of view
Hmm.
and ensure you convince others and get along, thereby make your presence. So can we scroll down, Ravi, or how is
Yeah,
it?
yeah, we can. We can. It'll start doing it automatically, actually.
Okay, okay, okay,
Don't
okay.
worry about that. So,
Oh, lovely.
scroll will start. Hmm.
Confidence. Okay.
Okay.
Very nice. Ability to drive. Okay. Very nice. Super.
Mm. Have an awareness of others' perception of you. Yes, that's a very important piece there. Very
Right,
important piece indeed. Trying to absorb as much as demonstrating clear confidence and leadership, of course.
right.
This demonstration of leadership, that's the key.
Very nice, very nice. Super.
Get along. Okay.
Right.
Should we, Yogesh, kind of um, take this on and process this, or should we
Yeah,
to
I
the
think we can process it through in our like the
right?
so yeah, so we can go to the next question possibly.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, but this is nice information. So
Why is this so important to you?
yes, 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 yes,
Now, what I mean is, for whatever you have said, there is executive presence.
yes,
Uh,
yes.
why is it so important to you?
In fact, Ravi, most people have heard this term quite often.
Yeah. Yeah.
Today, I think it would be a good clarity for all of us to see, why this
Mm,
is an important topic.
mm,
Creating a brand for myself, okay,
mm.
to be able to perform and
Perform well and
result.
results are fruitful. Okay. Yeah. To
Super.
yeah. Mm,
It's
mhm,
a personality which
mm,
I know can be developed and be used for my team and organization. Very nice.
mm.
Okay, easier to get one's idea across. Okay, you're accountable, however, you may not be an owner. Okay.
Okay.
Success with satisfaction. Okay. Okay. It is required to put your point and get others to easily convince. Okay, very nice. It is important because you want to get your point communicate across. Okay, because it matter I am relevant to the company story. Okay,
Mhm.
because I matter, I am relevant to the company story. Very nice.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
We can focus on doing rather than projecting. Okay, very nice.
Mm, mm.
How about
I would not even say focus on doing, I would say focus on being
that?
rather than on projecting.
Yes, yes, yes. Very nice.
It creates my personal brand and gives fulfillment.
In fact, Ravi, there is a very important point I think people should focus on is to move up in the leadership ladder.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Okay, helps leaders manage the team. Very nice. So, because that is a very important, like, given that people have the same level of experience and degrees, who get selected, I think there
Mm.
is a play of executive presence.
True, true, true.
So, good, Ravi. I think you got very good responses from the team. Yeah.
Mm, mm,
So Ravi, as we start getting into the session, I know you did spoke about how has executive presence changed over a period of time. So
mm.
I want if you can just bring that back again. Since we are now in the momentum of this responses,
Okay.
that what do you think has changed over the years?
So, there are a couple of ways of looking at it. And if you typically see, executive presence was typically associated with the board or the management or the decision makers of the organization, and they would naturally exude it in abundance whenever they visited um, a company or its uh, facility. Say that could be a factory, that could be an office, that could be a branch office, that could be a local office, etc. And everyone would look up in awe to that executive, because they knew probably in this organization, in this lifetime, I would not be that person, right? So, I mean, imagine, I mean, so and then that was the nature of executive presence. There was a glass ceiling, you could only go up to this point in a factory. In a, say for example, if you were in a steel making unit, or in a tire making unit, or in an automobile unit, you could go up to a certain level, and then from there, the others took over. And therefore executive presence was relevant for that other population. And that other population started their life at a very different level. They went to good B schools, they joined the organization as a management trainee, and then they were groomed to become senior executives. And there are a lot of people in India from that world who are doing a lot of work in the field of executive presence, and still it is attached to a certain kind of a power structure, right? So executive presence and power structure go hand in hand. So uh, honestly, it is like an additional uh, topping, if you may like, if I may use that food metaphor, which I often do, right? Additional topping to the base of the cake, which is entrenched in power, right? And then the person comes and, the tuxedo talks about it, his lapel pin talks about it, his tie pin talks about it, the way he ties the laces of his shoes talk about it. And therefore so much of the image, right? And what happened is that people started getting allured by that image, and they thought that if they could get the image right, any which way they had the capability would come through. So either the capability had to be inherited, you had to be the son of the promoter, or somebody like that who would descend right from top, go through your uh, teenage and your growing up years in a Kellogg or in a Harvard, and then come back to uh, be in the organization. You join directly the board, or you are a management trainee who's in a quasi VP kind of a role, and then the road is paved for you. That is one set of people. The other set of people thought that they had to go and talk to these people in their organizations to sell. So those were the service companies. The service companies thought that they would have to, how do they manage this power equation. The one way to manage this power equation was to quickly dress up like the guy who's sitting on the other side of the table, who is going to give you the order, right? So here the order taker and the order maker tried to kind of jostle for, again, a little bit of power dynamics, and then come together. So this was the notion of executive presence, and it kind of over very, very lopsidedly emphasized on the outer crust, right, of the entire thing. And therefore it began to be thought that it's all about dressing, it's all about how you speak, it's all about your accent, it's all about the all of that kind of stuff. I'm not discounting that. But then what I'm definitely trying to say is executive presence today has changed dramatically. Look at the time organizations take to reach their first billion, from being 100 million to a first billion. In the last decade of the previous century, which is 1990s and the year 2000, it used to be